A week before my wedding, my family told me that my sister got pregnant by my fiancé and that they would be getting married, so I should step out of their lives. I cut off my family for 2 years, but then my mom appeared at my door with a kid, asking me to show mercy to my unfortunate sister and take care of it because it's my blood after all. For context, I had been with my ex-fiancé Rob for 3 years when we got engaged and when he decided to start cheating on me with my sister. My sister, Nora, is 2 years younger than me and was always a jealous brat. Whatever I wanted, she always wanted the exact same thing, and most of the time she got her way. Our parents would totally coddle her the entire time she was growing up, and I guess that's why she grew up to be a spoiled, entitled, and insecure brat. It didn't bother me that she always got her way. It also got on my nerves that she was a huge copycat, and then she would pretend like I was the one copying her. Whenever we even thought about these things, my parents would intervene and ask me to let it go, since these were petty things and I needed to be the bigger person. But honestly, I was sick of being the bigger person all the time just because I was older, and eventually my relationship with my sister became really bitter, and I was glad to leave for college because that meant that I wouldn't have to stay in the same house as them anymore. And college is where I met Rob and we became friends. He was the one who asked me out after almost 2 years of crushing on each other, but never making a move, because we were too scared to ruin our friendship. But I guess around the time we graduated, he worked up the nerve to finally do it. And I said yes to going out with him, which was probably the biggest mistake of my life. Because after dating for 3 years, he decided to ask me to marry him, and once again, I said yes. We had already met each other's families by then, but because I was not very close to my family, he had only met my folks a handful of time. However, after we got engaged, there were a lot of instances where he met my family more, included Nora. I never really suspected anything because when the two of us were together, Rob never gave me a reason to doubt him. He seemed pretty head over heels in love with me, and I loved him. So for me to even think that he would end up cheating on me with Nora, it seemed too unlikely to happen. Now, looking back on it, I guess he was just a really good actor and did a fantastic job of convincing me that nothing was going on when, in fact, he and Nora had started flirting behind my back a couple of weeks after we got engaged. Of course, Nora had been the one to initiate it. I know that for a fact because she had confessed to it. And Rob had held back for about a month or so before he finally started responding to her advances. Unfortunately, by the time I even found out about any of this, there was just 1 week left to go for my wedding. The only reason they had even decided to tell me that they had started having an affair was because Nora had managed to get herself knocked up by Rob. And by the time they told me about it, she was already 9 weeks along. Pretty much everybody knew about it before I did, which is why they had called for a family meeting a week before my wedding, and I had actually expected it to be a surprise for me or something. But I had left this so-called meeting in tears that day. And 2 years have passed since then, but it's still the worst day of my life. My parents were there. Rob's parents were there, and of course, Rob and Nora were also there. They sat me down and the two of them told me that a couple of weeks after my engagement, Nora had reached out to Rob and started flirting with him. And he hadn't responded at first, but slowly, he started warming up to her because she was funny and kind of cute. They figured that it was just a bit of harmless flirting, and at first, they were just joking around. So it seemed like banter. But before they even knew it, they had started falling for each other. Nora told me that she had only started flirting with him because she felt like messing with me. But, apparently, according to her claims, she did not have any actual intention of ruining our relationship or falling in love with my fiancé. And as for Rob, his excuse was that he had just started thinking about life after marriage, and this was his way of relieving the stress that he was feeling about the upcoming wedding and stuff. Both of them had pretty lame excuses, and I definitely didn't believe what Nora was saying about her not having any intentions of ruining anything for me, and that the affair had just happened out of the blue. The bottom line was that my fiancé had cheated on me with my sister, and now Nora was pregnant with my fiancé's baby. Not just that, they were apparently also in love with each other and wanted to marry each other, which is why they had told their parents and a family meeting had been called so that I could be informed. Everything had already been decided. They had just wanted to let me know about it, and it's not like I could do anything about this situation at that point, so I just had to deal with it. The families had been told the truth about a week before me, 2 weeks after Nora and Rob found out that she was pregnant, and all of them had discussed the way to go about this in the future and had come to the conclusion that I just had to deal with it, because obviously, Rob couldn't marry me anymore. They started to apologize to me, but that was when I decided that I had had enough. And until then, I had just been sitting quietly because I was in disbelief of what I was hearing. But when I realized that they were all telling me the truth and this was actually happening, I lost it and I started screaming at everyone. I was really frustrated, hurt and confused, and it all just came out at once. Most of all, I was upset with Rob and Nora because they were the main culprits here.